I got my first smartphone at 30. It ruined my life, the writer says. I held off on getting a smartphone for as long as I could. Having grown up in the age of cell phones, my flip phone felt more than good enough since I could call and text anytime, anywhere. When I used it in the public, people would ask if I was detoxing or making some sort of political statement by not having a smartphone. My answer was simple. I just did not trust myself with unfettered access to the World Wide Web in my pocket. As smartphones became ubiquitous for things like boarding passes and concert tickets, life became increasingly hard to navigate. Even dining out became an obstacle because my phone could not scan the QR code to reveal the menu. In the summer of 2023, as major carriers began shutting down older 3G and 4G networks in favor of sparkling new 5G ones, my flip phone fully stopped working. Defeated, I walked into the Verizon store and left with a brand new iPhone 13 and a sinking feeling that my life would be forever changed. I quickly became glued to my phone. Within the first week of having an iPhone, I was averaging 4 or 5 hours on it daily. I was almost hit by cars when walking because I was glued to my phone screen. My screen time in usage report also showed that I was picking up my phone up an average of 57 times a day. With my old phone, I'd be surprised if I used it for 30 minutes or checked it more than a handful of times in a day. Repulsing with myself, I silenced all notifications. I tried leaving the phone in another room to avoid distraction, but I couldn't resist. After an hour of peace, I'd give in and be rewarded with 24 missing messages, none of them important. After a few weeks of using my smartphone, I began having neck pain for spending hours hunched over the precious device. I swear I could feel my spine starting to curve. Despite being more connected than ever, I feel so isolated. Texting was so much easier on my smartphone. With a full keyboard, I found myself in constant communication with friends via message threads and group chats. I love exchanging updates and sending silly photos, but now, when we meet in person, I find there isn't much to discuss. We've already covered everything while being in touch 24/7. When it came to actual real-life conversations, my comprehension took a hit. I was not really truly listening anymore. The other day, my sister came over and sat on the couch and launched into a diatribe about her workday, and without thinking, I reached into my pocket and began to scroll. I was displaying the same antisocial behaviors I had previously scorned in others. At the same time, with hundreds of apps at my fingertips, I found myself seeking connection on apps instead of in person. Instead of going to a bar, I swiped on Tinder. It was fun, but I quickly became horrified by how I could use the dating app's filters to find a human tailor fit to my exact preferences. Within an hour of downloading it, I had a date on the books for that evening. And while I didn't like to think that this is a nod to my own prowess, it's really just a testament to how easy smartphones have made it to order human interactions with a few clicks. The date was fine, though it lacked a certain substance. Having met on app meant we had no shared context in the organic world. We didn't meet through our community or at work. There was no social fabric connecting us. Our hopeful the romance fizzled as quickly as it started. I miss my flip phone, but there's no going back. I now view my life in two distinct eras, before and after the iPhone. Life was simpler with my flip phone, but having a smartphone is not all bad. I can fire up Google Maps to get around instead of stopping at a gas station to ask the clerk for directions. Spotify helped introduce me to some of my favorite artists. And yes, I do need all 200 photos of my cat backed up to the cloud. Yet I still find myself yearning for simpler times when I communicated with words instead of emojis, and when I was not reaching into my pocket every 15 minutes looking for another cheap dopamine hit, and when I could fully immerse myself in the world around me. There are smartphone alternatives, dumb phones, available that harken back to the old days, promising to curb your screen addiction by restricting apps and web browsers, but we're only kidding ourselves. There is no going back. Now that I've had a smartphone, I rely on it far too much to give it up. And this is from Business Insider on DNYUZ. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.